how much do you believe we talked about this a little bit earlier, like that some things feel like theater, right? It almost feels like you hear all these things that like the Simpsons and they predicted this, and every week now it's like it was written here and look at this. Do you believe? And then it starts to, like, what do you believe about that? Like, how much of the, like, stuff like this, like, they lived at 9 and 11 and this was next door. Do you think any of that's real, or we're all just reading into this stuff? Have you seen enough things where you're like, there could be something here?
I think so. Okay, so I think some of it is coincidence, but some of it is like predictive programming, and that they want, so for example, the Top Gun example I would say is they want the American public comfortable with this kind of attack, this style of attack. It's going to be awesome. Look how great the firefighters, the fighter jet pilots are going in, bombing the uranium site, pulling out, great stunt.
So that Top Gun was in Iran. That's where that happened. It was a uranium site in Iran.
That was,
So you're saying let's put it in a movie before we do it so that it'll feel more comfortable to people.
Exactly. So some of that stuff I think is predictive programming where they do that. Some of the stuff is coincidence. And then some of the stuff I think is like full psyop stuff where they try to get you distracted with another issue so they can maybe brush this real stuff. Because I do believe the Epstein stuff is real stuff. Like this is like, there's real crimes taking place behind the scenes. Like people should be investigated, all that stuff. So I'll give you an example, which may be controversial, maybe not. But like, for example, I think the ICE riots are a little bit of a psyop.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is, I don't know how much you've talked about that, but like, I think it's purposely created to be a divisive issue.
It reminds me of the stuff of the Portland, like in the park, there's Antifa in the park riots and stuff, and you had Renaissance Fair people battling Bernie Sanders activists and some of that shit, and it was like, what the hell is even, a Star Wars versus Game of Thrones characters? Someone we were like, what is even happening here? I could see some of that because there's videos of them like finding a guy who like started put like a Molotov cocktail on the street or something, and they follow him and like, who are interviewing, and the guy's like obviously was just stopping by to do this, not really involved. I think there's more of that happens than we even know, right?
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the videos you see, like, oh, look at this seems real. But you don't realize somebody could stage that, put the video out, or it could be AI, and you don't even know.
Right. And they particularly pick this issue where there's like it's not going to be any agreement, because immigration is one of those issues like abortion. There's really not a right answer. It's like based on your morality. Like some countries are great. Like Japan's great because they're all Japanese. They have their own customs and cultures, really cool, or Scotland or whatever. America just happens to be like kind of a melting pot. That's kind of what we're known for. But there's no like right answer to the amount of immigration you should have. So they pick this issue that nobody can really come together on.
Right.
And then they send people on the streets. Because I'm like thinking, why aren't you sending people on the streets for like Epstein? Why aren't you sending people on the streets for like spraying pesticides in all our food? Why is that? Because that's a unifying issue. People will actually demand something out of it. This is like, there's no answer, because you could look at the same video. This happened with the Renee Good and the other guy, Alex Preddy, right? People look in the same video and they're seeing different things. And they're like, oh, perfect. Let's amplify this more. Let's send more people out there. And now also they create, because I think there's something weird happening here where I don't think Trump is that serious about deporting people, because there's like a business interest to like keeping them here, because you have like depressed wages. A lot of them work in hospitality. A lot of them work in farm. And Trump said, oh, those are exempt. I'm like, well, those are where all their, those are where a lot of illegal immigrants are at. So why aren't you doing that? Well, because your donors don't want you to do that. So then you create this nice show for people, a show of force on the streets. I think the MAGA people really love the ICE agents going out there and having that presence. It gets them fired up. And then on the other side, then the Democrats are sending their people on the streets, and all of a sudden both sides have created sort of a pretense to like, now, we got to surveil people. We got to do a police state. And so you get the best of everything. You still get the indentured slavery for the corporations. Now you have chaos in the streets. So then you could bring about like the Palantir mass surveillance stuff.
That's what's heading.
Yeah. So
that's the big thing I say.
Yeah.
For me, I believe that even like, well, it's also funny that one political party lets a ton of people in, the next, and they're the bad guys. And then the next political party is, they're the ones who are trying to get everybody out, and they're the bad guys, right? It's like, don't you see that we're just watching the show? Like, don't you realize that at a certain point you're just watching?
That's what I've been trying to get people to wake up. I've been shit on for the ICE thing because my audience is like pretty split. Because a lot of times I focus just on corruption and just, this guy is doing something bad. I don't really do like party politics and stuff like that. So I have people on both sides depending on the issue, because I went hard at the COVID issue, which is like a right-leaning issue, right? Against the vaccines. I'm like, these pharmaceutical companies very corrupt, and that's a right-leaning issue. But then there's other issues that like people side with more on the left, which is like the pro-Palestine stuff, anti-Israel. That's like more of a left issue. So then whenever I comment on something that's like really I think divisive. Like I get hate on both sides. I've been called like a communist and also like a libtard to like right-wing Nazi, like every.
But if you're getting called both things, then you're probably doing a good job.
So I've been called everything, like a CCP spy, which obviously
I've been called faggot a couple times and wigger.
Well,
so
well, I think once you're in the game long enough, it's not possible to not be hated by somebody.
Yeah. I think it's like, then you're probably doing something right, I feel like, and you just have to do your best. It's like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
But neither do those guys that have wearing the suits and everything. That's my thing. It's like, those guys don't know what the fuck they're doing either. They just look like they know what they're doing. And I'm very open. It's like, hey, I'm just giving you as I see. Like I'm reading one chapter ahead. My job is to like inform you of what I found, and then you could take that for what it's. Well, I mean, that's like I think that's the tie back to what we talked about in the beginning. It's like that's the role of a teacher. Is like I'm trying to just give you information, and then hopefully that inspires you to do something that you want to do. Right? A teacher's not supposed to say, "Hey, you need to become X, Y, and Z in your life." It's to give you information to then sort of let you then go out there and explore the world, like inspire you to do something else.
That's what I get from your content. It's just like, when I see stuff, it's like, that's interesting, or that's curious, I think I just get a curiosity about it. And this is kind of one of the first times where media has been open to be able to kind of say what they want. Like media has been vastly kind of controlled by a couple of corporations over the past, 50 years, 100 years maybe?
Yeah. And you're going to see it co-opting. They're going to try to co-opt people like myself. I'm already seeing it happen, right? Because now they can get people to say exactly what they've said in mainstream media, but then through the lens of like a TikToker who's just wearing regular clothes. So you're going to see that battle, like an information warfare will continue. And then so that's why for me, I've always stayed very, very, diligent about making sure that I'm not taking money for anybody that I don't want to, like I'm basically fully independent. I want to say that's why I got in the game. Like I could have made a lot more money doing consulting work. That was easy, straightforward. But here, I'm just hopefully here on like more of like a spiritual mission,
Yeah, well, I think, you want to live, like if Earth exists and we're all going to live here and America was this thing that you believe in or that you knew your grandparents believe in, a lot of people are like, I'm trying to believe in what America stands for, the best parts of it, the most moral parts of it, or that being a human stands for, because I had a family member that died for these goals, or I had a family member that, who sacrificed their life to work here in this country under these rules so that I could go to school in a place that was, free, democratic. It's like, I think people just want to have a life. They want to have a chance to live and their children to do so. And if you start to think that there's all these dark controlling forces out there, which mostly are probably elites and people that are like extreme capitalists or power hungry, that's very scary. And you start to realize, there's a battle of good and evil at a certain point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that we're in that maybe. Sometimes you don't want to think like, hey, maybe I'm a character in something, but maybe you are. Maybe this is a battle of good and evil, and you are supposed to have a role in it. Not you and everybody. It's like sometimes we sit at home, we're like, man, I wish I'd have been picked to be like a hero or something. And it's like, maybe you got to fucking tap yourself on the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Because I do feel like life is I do feel like there's good and evil in the world right now, and I don't know how it plays out. But it feels scary and it feels alarming, and I just feel like a lot of people feel that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I would just to kind of spin it on a positive note. There's a lot of times through history. I don't think we're living through like the worst of times by any stretch of the imagination. I think it could feel that way sometimes with maybe social media and things like that.
Not at all,
right? But I think there even in dark times, like people really struggling out there. I think there definitely can be happiness found in dark times.
Oh yeah, and dark chocolate. Look at that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.